I like a happy ending because life does not always give you a
Happy
happy
ending.
ending. I don't
Happy
mean it
ending?
like that. I don't mean, but like not from like a,
Yeah.
a massage parlor, but like the,
Happy ending. Did you ever see that email back years ago before the internet really got taken off? And we used to send emails to each other that had funny, like before memes and stuff. Did you guys ever send emails?
yeah, well, yeah.
There was one, and you opened it, and it was called Happy Ending.
I don't remember that.
And there was
I don't think we did that.
There was a guy laying on a massage table, and the Asian lady whispers to him, "Happy ending," and he goes, "Happy ending," and she hits a button, and a bunch of balloons come down, and clowns come in, and it's just like it's like yeah. So I'm here with Rachel.
Did it start?
Yeah, we're started.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So Rachel's an author from America, the United States of America,
Yes.
camped out behind enemy lines in Canada.
I think like we're friends now.
Like Canada and America? And
Yeah, I think we're back.
We're back?
I think so.
We're tight?
Yes.
Right on.
Don't you? Like, I think they made up. Like, I think there was a whole thing and it was made up now.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see us making up that quickly. Yeah. So you're an author.
I am.
You've written 3 books?
I have.
And you're currently working on 2.
Yes.
Maybe more?
Well, I have like actually 5.
5 completed?
No, 5 that I started, and so 3 are completed. One I did when I was 20.
Yep. What's the name of that one?
The Calling, and it was a bit. So I love kind of this fantasy, but it was a bit about if you merge like a Christian calling with, how do you? I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared, but like, how do you come to this place of that you might be this person that's not perfect, and then
how do you get there?
I don't. Well,
you
you
can
get
follow
there.
my story.
But how do you get from a place that you're not perfect, but God still calls you? And so that was it.
Yeah.
But it was also a fantasy. So it was around, because in the early Christianity, they had a lot of, well, and even today we believe that God gives us graces and spiritual powers. And so it was a lot about that.
Yeah.
And so that was my first one. And then I did one that's pretty fun. It's about a girl who's in her early 30s, and she's probably a girl that I wanted to be. If I could be this girl, I would. But her name's Sophie Schiffendecker, and she's like this private...
Schiffendecker?
I did. I totally did like a weird name that
Yeah.
you couldn't... And she's like a private eye.
Okay.
And it's fun because there's no really good books around Delaware. So I did that.
Okay.
And
what was the name of that one?
that one is called, well, I haven't really named it yet. So I sent it off to an editor and I'm trying to get it kind of done before I send it out.
Okay.
But my kind of preliminary name is called the
Schiffendecker Chronicles. You'd be like a Nancy Drew.
It is, but it's fun. Like,
Yeah.
well,
Nancy Drew is fun. Come on.
but it's so I can't help, but I always end up writing like a romance kind of thing. But it's kind of a mystery with that.
Yeah.
I try not to do that, but I end up doing that. But
well, there's probably a good reason for it. That's
Why?
what you gravitate towards.
I do.
then,
I just love that. I love the idea of kind of two people that aren't normal kind of getting together. So like I end up doing that, and I try to get away from it, but I can't.
Yeah. Well, there's no sense fighting it, right? If that's
It
that's what
is.
you gotta
Like
do.
I just love it.
So it's
what I do.
untitled, and you said you were leaning towards a name, but it's
Well, it's The Chase. But there's already one that's called that, so I have to try to find something else. So that's why it's untitled right now. So.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's many books that have the same names.
Well,
there?
I know, but I didn't want to like.
Is it a similar story? Like it's obviously a book.
No,
you read,
well, see the person that did The Chase is actually Janet Ivanovich, and I kind of love her. Like she's one of my favorite authors.
So
like she kind of
very familiar.
Got me into kind of writing quirky stuff. So this Sophie Schiffendecker is actually based on Lawrence Sanders, who did this whole thing on the McNally series. Oh my god! Yeah. So
no, you're doing fine.
That's fine. Okay, so he did this, and that's kind of what I based it on. But the McNally, he was like a man. And I read this when I was in my 20s, when I was in college. And this really what got me into writing and actually reading. Because, when you're in high school, you don't want to read.
All the books that I was supposed to read in high school, I read when high school was over.
Exactly. And they're better.
And then I actually got into them and I read them and I was like, wow, books are fun.
So like...
That's before the internet.
Well, the only book that I really loved when I was in college was Pride and Prejudice. So like I got really into that. So I'm like a Jane Austen freak.
Yeah.
But it's a romance. So
yeah.
But then you read all the stuff that you're supposed to later and you're totally into it. But so I read this Lawrence McNally series and like oh my god. See, I don't need to be drinking.
Don't be afraid to talk more directly into the microphone.
Okay.
This is your first podcast, too.
It is.
So you're nervous.
So, yeah. So, it's not that, I shouldn't be, but... So, Lawrence Sanders did this whole McNally series about this guy who... McNally, he was like... He drove a Mazda Miata.
Yeah, I can already tell the type of person.
He lived in Miami. He lived off his parents and had a red beret. But I loved this character. He just was, and the series was fun. And so I kind of based it off that. And that's what I had. That's why it's Sophie Schiffendecker, because it was like a totally weird name. And I love that.
Yeah. So that was book number 2.
2.
Yeah. And now number 3 is...
So I love a fantasy.
Has that one been published?
No, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
So I'm getting it edited right now, and I'm going to send it off. So none of my stuff has been published because I love to write, but I hate to get it out. But I'm working on that now. Yeah,
I have the same problem. I publish my podcast, but there's... things that I need to do to be able to get it out to different, more, forms of media, to your Spotify's, to your podcast. And once I get into that and I get looking into it, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sick of this. Let's just record it.
Go, and then YouTube's that's all I want to do. I don't want to deal with that. So, but I have a couple of friends that I've met on X, and they were like, you need to get your stuff out.
Yeah.
You need to do this right now. So that's what I've been working on. So the third one I like the best to go out on Medium. So that's what I'm working on now, which is the one about werewolves.
Yes, I've read 11 pages of that, or 9 pages plus the table of contents. It's a very good book.
Well, I've started it. I'm excited about it. I've finished it basically, but I need to go and edit it. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. So, and then I'm going to post it on Medium. So
now, since I've read some of that, is that just going to be a closed book? Because I see the options of there being some sort of sequel or
I really think all the characters. I love doing characters. For me, that's yes. Yeah. I love really kind of developing a character, and so that's. I don't want it to be just that. My problem is I've written so much on that, I have to condense it if it wanted to be a book. But I think on Medium's a good source that you don't have to do, we're stuck at 80,000 words. So.
What do you mean by that?
Well, so
I'm not
if in a book,
Yeah.
you have a certain amount of words that you can do. So 80,000 is about a novel.
Yeah.
But if you go more than that, you need to be like a fantasy novel, but not the type of fantasy that I'm doing. You have to do like, futuristic or something.
Yeah.
You can go to about 120,000 words, but 80,000 is kind of the novel standard.
Yeah, now you could do a few books at that. Like, that's
Yes.
what I mean. Like,
Yes.
I see it as a collection.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the story could go all sorts of different ways.
And the problem with this one is that, like, I had a lot of detail that I'm trying to kind of churn out so that I can get it to a place that it's not. I developed the characters way too much for.
Yeah. Now, could you take some of them ideas and then turn that into?
Oh yeah, and like I
Longer
can
story?
use it later.
Yeah.
But I think for this, I just wanted to start out a little. Just we're in the action and let's go. So that's what.
What is that noise?
I don't know. I know. Are we
Is that
in,
the
like
fire
fire? It's fire.
That's really a fire alarm?
I think so.
All right, that was interesting.
That was fun.
Yeah, fire alarm. It when I was falling asleep last night, I was laying in my bed and I got this vision that I was gonna have to jump out the window. I hate heights. I hate being up in the air, and I'm on the 23rd floor. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so if there's a fire or something, or earthquake is where it started, but then it was like, oh, I probably won't have to jump out the window for an earthquake. I was like, but if there's a fire, I might have to jump out the window.
And then what was the situation? Because we might have had to do that just a minute ago.
No, I know. Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, so then I meet up with you in the hallway and you jump on an elevator and we start going up. I'm like,
That was my fault. Because there was party girls. They were going to the party and they invited us kind of. They were like, come on. So I was like, okay.
we should have went.
I know.
But okay, so
We're back after the fire alarm.
yeah, the fire alarm is everything is good. I didn't have to jump out the window from
Which
the
is a positive.
from the 37th floor rather than the 23rd. Maybe I could get enough steam up to be able to fly by the time I hit the ground.
Nor did we get to go to the party. So I'm kind of disappointed about that. But
Yeah. That was the 37th floor?
no, they were going up to like the 52nd.
Oh, really?
We got out because you were like,
Yeah,
why are we going?
Why are we going up? I'm thinking I can jump from the ground floor. I'm totally fine with that. Okay, so
It
we're
didn't
back.
work out. It didn't work out.
Then we got talking, and you wanted to explain more about your second book that doesn't have a title yet.
Well, it's sort of so.
But
Now that we had this whole experience, so I had started out with The Chase, then I did Tracked, which I thought would be cool because it does have an element of that she's being tracked,
yeah,
like from her cell phone. She doesn't know that the guy that she kind of meets, because what happens is she is following someone who for her job, and then she meets the brother kind of figures out that she's tracking him. But then I think the second book might be about, I'm going to do it from a racetrack. So I thought that would be a better title for the second book. So then I did Traced. So I'm not sure. But it's still up in the air because there's all Traced and Tracked and...
Oh,
yeah.
Traced being the name.
Yes.
Traced. Tracked. The tracing.
But Tracked because the second book I would do at Delaware Racetrack. So it involves that. So I thought that would be.
Do you guys have a racetrack in Delaware?
Yes.
There's a town where I come from called Delaware, and they have a racetrack as well.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess everything probably has a racetrack in the States.
Yeah. Well, Delaware Park is a fun little racetrack if you've ever like horse racing, even if you don't. Like it's a cute
this isn't
little
car racing?
No, it's a cute little horse racing track. But it's
Okay.
nice. You like hang out in the paddock. You can bring your food. You can bring your drinks. You can do whatever and hang out and bet on races all day. So.
And this is where this story is going to,
Yes.
like, not
The second one. Yes.
this the second book.
Yes.
Yeah. The track.
Because I don't like people are anti horse racing now, but
Yeah, what happened there?
well, then we're gonna have to get politically correct. I don't know,
yeah.
but like it's about animal, like not hurting animals, but
Politically correct. I'm running around the building with a drunk wives matter shirt.
that was kind of funny.
Like, I'm not afraid to wear it, but usually I'll wear it to concerts or something, not
Right,
like during
but-
a like
Fire alarm,
Full
like everybody.
ethnic-
There was like a Dane Cook show
Yeah,
that
Dane-
everybody's
yeah.
coming out, and yeah.
should get Dane. If I wonder if they wouldn't have evacuated. The show's probably over. We should get Dane Cook on the pod after
I
we're
know.
done.
Why didn't we do that? Because
Yeah.
like they were
Well,
all
we got-
evacuating. We
Yeah.
could have just been like, Dane,
We
come
could have
on
grabbed
back.
him.
Yeah.
Been the kidnapping alarm.
What happened to Dane?
Yeah. So, yeah, book number 2 is
I want to do it around the Delaware Park racetrack.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a fun track. It's fun. It's exciting.
what's the name of the? Is it just Delaware Raceway?
Delaware Park. So
Delaware.
if you're in,
You
it's
could call the book-
thoroughbred racing. So if you like the Kentucky Derby, you would. I'm doing like a commercial for Delaware Park, but they do. But it's a cute little racetrack. It's nice. It's fun to go out, and I've met a lot of the people that work there, and
You could call it. Hi, we're in Delaware.
yeah, well, who goes to Delaware? Nobody goes to Delaware. So
That is one of our things, though. On another podcast I do, whenever somebody's talking about like a boring place or somewhere that nobody knows of,
exactly,
it's, like,
it's Delaware. Like where?
What a
You know.
coincidence! You're from Delaware.
But it's it's a cute town.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, the state is cute, but New
Okay.
York is where they have it.
So then we go into book number 3, the Werewolf book.
Yes.
That's book number 3.
That's 3.
Yeah. Now, I had read a page or two from another book. We're not quite done with book number 3 yet.
I have a lot of starts. That's the problem. Like,
Yeah,
I
well,
get really excited, and then I start it, and then I have to finish the others. So.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you're not the only writer that writes that way.
Well, no.
So, this is a werewolf story, and
Yes.
there is vampires in that,
Yes.
that just make a brief appearance.
Apparently, vampires are back in. Did you know this?
Oh yeah, Nosferatu just come out. I heard it's a
but
great
all
movie.
of a sudden, they're like vampires are back in,
Yeah.
which I didn't know they went out. Honestly,
Oh. Kiefer Sutherland is still the best vampire ever.
you think?
Oh, I don't know. Lost Boys
Lost
is a
Boys.
great.
I do love the Lost Boys.
Yeah, it's a great.
I do.
It's a great vampire movie.
It's fun.
But it's mainly about werewolves, though.
Yes.
Which, when I first started reading it, well, I found out right away as I was reading the few pages that I read. But when you had brought it up, I thought that it was going to be like a story about wolves.
Right.
Like
Because
wilderness wolves running through the majestic wildness. And then all of a sudden there's a vampire and
you
wolves
were
are
like,
being
"What?"
slain.
And I think so. I think one of the things was I needed a space that had like actual wolves. So I asked you. I said, "Well, because I had it in
Wasn't it like Ohio or something? Idaho.
which I had never been to Idaho before, but I did all this research around Idaho. But then I kind of, like, when I do a book, I want it to be, like, I've been there. Like, I know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so I said to you, do you have wolves? Because, you know, you and I are friends. So I was like, I need a space for this. So you were like, well, yeah, in Martin River we do. So I said, well, this would be a perfect place. So that's why.
But the Martin River in your book is nothing like the Martin River in real
Probably
life.
not. No, but it's
because you have an inn. There's an inn.
Yeah, there is an inn. Yeah, but it's.
Oh no, it works.
But there was a little town next to. It wasn't in Martin River, but it was. What was the town name? I forget. But I did a whole lot of research around Martin River and the little towns around there. I was like, it could.
Would it have been Temagami or Verner or no Field?
It was Field.
Field, right?
So I was like,
Field
was cute.
Field would have been a good one.
Yes, but I didn't want to name it Field because.
Yeah, well, it's Field because people would be like, oh, they're in a field.
Yeah, well, no, it was more like I didn't want to make it real, but then like I wanted to have it in a space that could be real.
So you don't even name Martin River.
I haven't, but I could.
No, I wouldn't.
But
that's like where the
yes.
Yeah.
So it's in that area, and that's why I made you read it because I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this out there.
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's like viable.
Well, I kind of shit the bed on reading it, and you were like, oh, I guess you're not going to read it, and give me a hard time. And then I actually read it, and I was like, oh, wow, this is... And not that I didn't think it was going to be good, but it was like... The werewolf thing caught me completely off guard. So I'm looking forward to reading the whole thing.
And the vampire. You like the vampire.
Oh, I like the vampire for sure. But the vampire, that's why I said that you could go further with this, because you could bring out the backstory of the vampire.
And so I do have that, but it's later. So like I have in my head all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think most writers do this. We're like, we have every character, we know every situation they've been like, and it might not get on the page, but you're just making it happen.
Yeah.
And some of the and I said this, so like some of the hardest part is like culling it so that you're not like overstimulating the story.
Overstimulating the story. No, I know exactly what you're saying.
So much stuff. Like you don't need all that stuff. Like people don't. They want like dee. You don't need everything. Yeah,
but you can't just do it to cater. You got to write how you write. And I guess maybe that's what you do, and then you go back and pull stuff out.
I do. I want it so that people are like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Because that's me. I don't write very serious drama. I have enough of that in my life. So I do.
There was some pretty serious drama.
Well, but I make it, well, that, yeah. But, but I make it so that it's also... that
when she was throwing up into the toilet and having her head pulled back.
I do like women. I don't understand why I always have women throw up. Like I do, but every book that you read, like I have some girl.
I have the same problem.
Some girl throwing up. I'm not sure, because the other one I did is the British one.
Yeah, well,
it's kind of a Guy Ritchie kind of spinoff. But
that's the one I'm waiting for, because there's a foot.
There's a foot
that was found. Was it in a boot?
Severed foot in a boot. And
that was the first thing I ever read.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
And then you kind of give that one.
I don't, because I like already have all this stuff written, and everybody's like, you need to get your stuff out. So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, which one came first, the vampire or the werewolf one?
The
or the
werewolf one.
Oh, you'd been working on that already.
Oh my gosh, yeah, for like a year and a half.
Oh,
well, and I almost have it done, so it's just getting it out. But I don't ever like. There's a spot where I don't really want people in my head to read it, because I've already.
There's people in your head.
Well, in my head.
Yeah.
I don't want people to read it because I already like it, and I don't want that judgment on it.
So you just want to put it out, and then because
I don't even want to put it out. Like, to me, it's perfect. I love it. So why put it out when I have to?
That's kind of how it works, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but like
isn't that like Salvador Dali? Like
I'm kind of.
He
I'm
hired
an artist.
he hired a film
I'm an
crew.
artist. I don't want like other people judging me, and then I might have to,
Do what?
it's in my psyche. I don't want that.
That's crazy.
Why?
Well, because if you're going to be an author, and I guess if you're just
know.
writing for yourself.
Well, yeah, like
Salvador Dali, do you know who that is?
yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
He hired a documentary crew to come and do a documentary on
Right.
him and his life, and then he refused to let him in the house. He was like, "Fuck you guys,"
I
and he
get
holed
that.
up. And
I
was
get
like,
that. I totally get it because like I don't want, like the judgment.
"There's no judgment. Who cares? You got to
don't
put it
know.
out there and
I'm way like
put your stamp on it. That's
you're-
where it is. You like it. You like it. You don't. You don't." Next, another book.
I think writers are way insecure.
Oh, writers, painters, musicians, fucking
Everybody's
everybody.
insecure.
Yeah,
So it's.
But if you're just writing for yourself, then that's fine.
I'm not.
Right.
I really like the praise because I'm kind of a peacock. So
Yeah. You just have to like my feathers. Yeah.
but I love the praise, but I don't want the criticism. So.
Now, have you gotten to the point where you've ever like thought of covers and stuff for your books?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's ready to go.
Like, do you have a cover design?
Yeah, for the werewolf one I do because for Medium, you put out like chunks of it, which I kind of like. So I would put like a chunk of it without the whole novel.
What, like onto the internet?
Yeah.
And then what? People just read,
Yeah, they read the chunk, and then they pay for it.
and they don't want the rest of the book? I'm not
No, they
familiar
do.
with this.
They do want the rest, but you get them so into it that then they want to pay for the rest. So it's like
Is that why you
serial.
only sent me 11 pages?
Yes, because
So now
you're
I gotta
so
pay for
into
the rest
it.
of it?
Yes, because I don't want no, but like it's a serial. So they used to actually like Charles Dickens. They would put it in magazines, and they would be so into it that they would want more. So then they would pay for the magazine to get more.
Okay. So
It wasn't
Hunter
published
Thompson
all
was
in-
one of my favorite
Yeah.
authors, and Fear and Loathing ended up going into Rolling Stone magazine as excerpts over, I think, like
Mm-hmm. Right.
a 3-month period,
Right,
to get
and so
the
you
whole
would
story.
buy the magazine just to get the
the rest of the
story. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But that's been going on for years. So now they're doing that online.
Well, even music is like that because we used to have where you like I don't remember this when it was happening, but you would buy a single or a 45 and there was not really albums.
No.
And then we went through the whole time frame of albums and everything. And then we
And then
get
I
into
was
this
like-
streaming thing and now people are like, "Oh, you only put out one song to
But
buy
that
on
was
Spotify."
like what they would do to
But that's how it all
pull
started.
it, yeah. But an album used to be kind of an artistic expression of the whole piece. So I get that too. Like
Well, yeah, that was the evolution, but it's just like the history repeats
Oh,
itself.
yeah.
Now we're back to the
one,
singles.
and some of it is marketing,
Oh, it's all marketing.
but yeah.
When it was like that in the beginning, that was just how it started.
Right.
And then it went full circle, and now it's a marketing.
Thing.
Yeah, and people just want one song, right?
Well,
like
who-
we
who
used to have to
doesn't
buy a
like a-
full album to get that one song we wanted.
Who doesn't want a one-hit wonder? I mean, like I would totally do a one-hit wonder.
Like,
I would totally make all my money off a one-hit wonder and be happy.
yeah, but I don't think that's what the single thing is about.
Oh no, but it's-
Because you could
yeah.
you could release like 30 good singles.
Yeah.
Whereas a one hit wonder would like release 5 albums and they only have one good
hit.
song.
But
One
like,
hit.
hey, all you need is
But that's all marketing too, like you
Yeah,
said. It's
like-
they only promoted that one song. The record company made their money, and the band probably did too.
well, yeah, they're
I'm
still like living off of it. So
Yeah. I'm hoping to get one podcast to hit, and then just ride that into the sunset.
I don't need a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would be cool with that.
I need a little bit because I just learned how to gamble. There's a casino across the way, and I've never gambled before, and I was over there last night, and
Now you're into it.
yeah, I'm down money, but I'm up on the blackjack, so I'm gonna take that money that I'm up and try and get more up. I never even thought. I've been here before, and I never even thought to go to the casino. It's just not my thing.
It is fun.
Yeah,
And probably, yeah.
I might have a new problem. They always said you could trade one addiction for another, so
Well, but
maybe I could quit smoking. And it's just
and be a gambler.
I feel smoking is
know.
cheaper in this. On this one.
Well, it depends what kind of gambling you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not high stakes, but
Yeah, so.
I'm a minimalist. So.
Well, and now so that's why horse racing's fun. You can do a $2 bet, be done. You get like the high, and that's why I'm doing that whole book around that.
On the horse racing.
Yeah.
That's the second book.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's finished?
No, it's started. So,
Oh.
the thing about it is, like, I really think that's probably going to be the most marketable book. So we'll see how that goes. As soon as I get it edited and I send it out, I think that's going to be.
Really? You
so
don't
you're
think
getting me right at the start of maybe a marketable book.
Okay. You don't think that the vampire werewolf, or is that like a niche?
It's kind of a niche. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's kind of my love. So I also have I love fantasy novels. It started with Charlene Harris, and she did you ever see True Blood on HBO?
No, I don't watch TV.
Well, I know, but she also did the books. The books were really good, and
Did this
Suki Sackhouse was her name. That was the thing, but that kind of started me. It was Anne Rice with Interview with a Vampire. Did you ever?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So I love those genre, that whole genre.
What's your favorite vampire movie?
Favorite?
Book. Actually, we're not talking about movies.
Yeah, we're book. It would be the Suki Sackhouse story. I forget, but True Blood is the series, but I forget the first name of the book.
Did this series do the book justice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. You don't hear that very often.
Yeah, it really did. And, well, Eric was hot, but that's another story.
Yeah. I feel that a lot of Erics are hot. I don't know any Erics, but...
I know several, but Eric in the book is hot.
Eric, he could be a Viking.
He was
he?
Actually, yeah. And so he was a vampire.
Eric the Red?
He's my favorite vampire ever. So.
Eric?
Yes.
Really?
From the Suki Sackhouse, yes. Charlene Harris. I'm sending it out there. So
I'm a big fan of Kiefer Sutherland. But I want to...
I did love that. So that movie was amazing when it came, when I was a teenager. And
I watched all the original horror movies on VHS years and years ago, like the Wolfman, Frankenstein, Dracula, and then I got into a lot of Vincent Price stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But mostly black and white.
Yes.
I loved all that stuff. So
I loved that. Do you remember those TV shows that were Tales from the Dark Side was one? And
Tales from the Crypt?
Oh,
yeah, I love the Crypt
But Tales
Keeper.
from the Dark Side was it was kind of a Twilight Zone. Nobody knows. But that really influenced me as a kid. These kind of wacky...
Did you like Alfred Hitchcock then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love, the birds. But my favorite was Rear Window,
Yeah.
where they're, staring out at the window.
This window's kind of freaking me out. Fire alarm goes off again. I'm out.
You're not jumping out.
I'm not going to the 57th floor to jump out either. I'm going right from here.
That would have been a party, though. I feel like we missed out on
They
that.
were very dressed up. They were much younger than us too, though.
Yeah, but they were like,
We could've
come
been
on
like-
in. They were sweet. They were telling us the whole thing.
They weren't dressed quite as nice as the girls that were going to the live music show.
Well, no.
The dancers.
No. Or at the casino. So.
No, I meant the dancers. They come walking down.
yes.
They come walking down.
Yes.
And it's like guy in a suit,
Yeah.
regular clothes, jogging
Yes.
pants, sweater, and then flamenco girls. I was
Yes.
like, they don't look like tourists to me.
They were not.
Yeah.
No, they were there for the show.
Yeah.
But in the casino, I feel like there needs to be a game. Are they hookers or are they want to get it late? That's just
Yeah. We actually I'm starting a game on my other podcast where I show pictures and you guess whether they're trannies or not.
Oh, well, yeah. I feel like this should be a game because I can't figure it out because I can never...
Slut or prostitute?
Yeah, but I never can figure out. Well, it's not a slut. She just wants to get laid.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
We don't know if she's a slut.
Horny woman or prostitute?
Yeah.
Maybe the prostitute just wants to get laid too.
She might, but she's going to be smart about it and get some money for it at the end. So.
Yeah, that might be smart. So do you have any other books like in your head that you're...
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I have like 2 kind of written.
Like,
so.
Well, you have one written.
No, I have like 2 that are in my head that are kind of written. Yeah.
Oh, that you just got to get, that you haven't even
Yes.
started penning yet.
No, I did. So there was a weird genre that I don't know if I'll ever get out, but it was, they call it Alpha and Omega genre, which is a kind of a fantasy genre. And I wrote a lot on that one, but I don't know that I'll ever.
I've never heard of this.
Well,
I mean, I've heard of Alpha and Omega, but I've never heard of it as a genre.
Totally weird. I don't know where it came from. There's like some speculation, but it is.
Love speculation.
It's like men that are like totally dominant. There's like a whole hierarchy of it, and the women that. It's odd. I don't even know.
Like when you say fantasy now, because I'm just gonna ask because when you first said it, like there's different.
I've done a little erotica too. So
yeah, well, is that what you mean by fantasy?
No, I mean like fantasy for me is.
Do you know who Boris Vallejo is, the painter that does like the dragon paintings and like the whole the.
No.
You don't know who Boris Vallejo?
No.
The Russian. The Russian painter?
No.
Every year I would get the new Boris Vallejo calendar.
I don't know.
But to me, that's what fantasy would be.
No.
Or you get into like
supernatural is what fantasy.
Yeah, well, this could be
considered. Like, so I did another fantasy with a dragon. And
I'm listening.
So, and it's based off King Arthur's.
Like that's Boris Vallejo.
Oh yeah, I do know that. Yeah.
That to me is fantasy.
But that
right?
isn't that like European Vacation or Vacation? Like
just so you guys can all see, this is it absolutely has. I'm sorry,
look at the European Vacation or the Vacation. Look at the poster for European Vacation. One of those. It
does like not look like.
Oh well. one
that like, I know what you're saying.
Yes,
okay. But like this, that's Boris. That to me, that's fantasy.
Well, yeah, that might be. Yes, it is.
Or like the did you ever see the show Heavy Metal?
Yes.
I guess that might be like.
No, it is fantasy. It's fantasy, supernatural.
But then there's the fantasy, like...
There's sci-fi that's kind of like...
Anything Ron Jeremy was in was probably fantasy.
Well, yeah. But that's erotica. Like, we call that erotica.
So when you say fantasy...
You might call that porn.
You might. That might be porn.
It might be.
So when you say fantasy, what do you mean?
Like... supernatural, sci-fi. That's
genre.
All
fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a genre.
That you want to know what? You're right on the European Vacation thing.
See, I told you. And nobody will know because you can't show them.
No, I can. Everybody. No, when I put that up there, everybody's like, "Man, I know exactly what she's talking about right here." Yeah, it's exactly it. But this is like Boris Vallejo may have drawn that, but it never showed up.
How did I know that it was European? That was one of my favorite movies as a kid. If that tells you anything about my life,
if you can't see that, but yeah,
I love that movie.
European
I love
Vacation.
That movie. Yes,
I like the regular Vacation.
I love that, but I love that movie.
Yeah, and Christmas Vacation was.
I love that one. Yeah. But European Vacation was one of my favorites because I always wanted to go to Europe, which I've done now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never going to Europe.
Why?
I won't get on a plane.
Well, but why else?
I'll have to jump out the window when the fire alarm goes off. Everybody's like, I know that when I get in a plane, something's going to happen because I fucking know it.
No, you don't. You don't know
I'm going to get freaked out.
You don't. Well, you could get freaked out, but it doesn't necessarily mean something's going to happen to the plane.
So these two books that you have in your head,
Yeah.
one's fantasy, or are they both fantasy?
Well, the one is the Alpha and Omega,
Yeah.
which I've written a lot on. And the second one is about dragons.
Oh, nice.
It's King Arthur and dragons because, and I have not read anything, but so King Arthur's dad was called Pendragon.
Okay.
Because they thought he was descended from dragons. And I'm like, why haven't we ever done anything about that? And there might be something out there that I haven't read, but I did search. And so I did kind of a fantasy thing around that. And I've written some erotica stuff, but, erotica's not a good genre. You can't admit that you've done that. You have to do that as a different person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like that's writers kind of, look their nose down on erotica stuff. So
I'm sure it's super popular, though.
Well, everybody likes it. So
Yeah.
That I have published that and that has been popular, but I'm not allowed to say it. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you just said it. The cat's out of the bag.
But you won't know what name I published it under. So.
Oh, right. Yeah. I bet I got a pretty good idea. Swartz and Snissel Snoop.
Yeah, no, it's not that. So, yeah. So.
Yeah, well, so you're pretty wrapped up. You're going to get this one finished.
I am.
You're going to close the book on that one.
I am.
And then you are going to deal with the British detective.
Yes, because you want it. So
yeah, well, I want to know whose foot it is and how it ended up in the park.
And it's in my head. I got all of it. Yeah. I just got to write it down.
You just got to write it down.
Yeah.
And you're you like typing. You're into the clicker. You're not you said you don't like talking into something and having the
No, like I try to do that, but it doesn't feel as satisfying. I don't understand why, but somehow just typing it out, like you can see it. Maybe it's because I'm a visual person. Yeah. Like I want to see it.
I would think that maybe most writers are like that. Like if anything, you could like jot down notes into something that you talk into, but
well, it's in my head. Everything's in my head. Like, the reason I really started writing is because I would have all of these fantasy things in my head, and I'm like, why am I not writing it down?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way to go. Get them ideas out there.
Yeah.
But you got to get published. You got to get people reading it.
I do, and I'm going to do it.
And don't worry about what people think as far as whether the judgment, because you're not going to be able to please anybody. So just put it out there.
It's just doing it.
Close the chapter on that. Close the book.
It'll be good.
Send it out and then fire up a new idea. So I
can talk to you about like the whole process.
Yes.
So there you go.
Tell me about the whole process.
Well, just getting your book out, like how you get an agent. You have to get, so you have to determine whether you want to do like traditional media.
Which is a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or go through like what I talked about, medium. So there's a whole, like the Sophie Schiffendecker book, I kind of want to try like a traditional media to see if I can get an agent, and because I think it's that positive.
With everything else, there's a big independent market. You can't just be an independent.
No, you can, and which is why I want to do like the werewolf one
as an independent.
Yes, because I think that would actually do better that way.
Yeah. Because with music right now, there's never been a better time to be an independent artist, right? I didn't know whether that translated into...
The difference is, so if you get a publisher with books, you don't have to deal with the marketing.
Right. And
they
put
do
it out
all of
there.
that. That's their whole.
Yeah.
I mean, so you wouldn't have to deal with that.
Now, does it have the same stigma around it that the recording industry does? Like where the publisher is taking all the money from the book and the author's not?
No, I think like
the money's distributed pretty evenly.
Yeah, I mean, because of the marketing aspect, you would give them more money, but I don't think it's crazy. It's not like
the music industry is terrible.
It's not like Ticketmaster taking all the money.
Yeah. No, but even bands like basically now, it's the tour is where they make their money, or the merch maybe.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not as bad as that. You get like a cut of it. But because they can send your stuff, but they also ask to do, like you have to be able to do 2 or 3, 4 books because they want the series.
A book deal.
Yeah. So
I really do see a series in the werewolf story.
You've already figured that out too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. I just really love to write.
Yeah.
It's kind of my outlet. It helped me at a point when I thought I was like I had nothing else. So when I started writing, it was like I had a whole new, like my life opened up.
Yeah. Okay, so now what about audiobooks?
Oh, I love that too. But
will you put your stuff on audiobooks?
I would. I would not be the person to do it.
The narrator?
Yeah.
Do you need a narrator? I got
do.
Several different kinds of voices.
No. Yeah, you would be much. So like I
would be terrible.
I hate like my voice anyway. So yeah.
Oh, your voice is fine. Except you got this southern accent, which is
sort
fun
of
too.
Southern, but
sort of
southern plus Delaware. I don't fit in anywhere. So everybody's like in the
north.
Most
people from
like,
Delaware, I assume, don't.
Well, yeah, but like in the north,
I've seen the Bidens.
Like, yeah, well, in the north, they're like, you're from the South. When I go to the South, they're like, where are you from? Like, you're not from here. So
stop
like,
trying to make fun of us.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. And I'm like, I'm from here. I'm from Nashville. So.
Nashville, yeah. Yeah, so you would get your stuff onto audiobooks?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I listen to audiobooks.
Now, is that a viable market to do just an audiobook?
Well, yeah, like Audible does.
Audible, that's the name I was looking for.
They do like things that aren't even books now. So it's pretty, not even podcasts, but like there was one, I wish.
Like lectures and stuff.
Well, that.
Yeah.
But there was one, I wish I had known you were going to ask me this question because I would totally, it was one of the best audiobooks I've ever heard. And it was a writer that writes regular books, but like he had done this, he did this just for Audible. And it was one of the best Audibles I've ever heard.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
And it was a fantasy.
And then what's the other thing? It's not audio, but it's on the tablets or whatever. Or, Kindle? Is there?
Oh yeah, but that's like
just a book.
It's a book, but you don't have to like get the physical book.
You're just reading it.
There's a whole kind of thing where like people are like, well, I want a book. Like they want the physical book versus Kindle. I do both. So
yeah, I would enclose yourself on. Like the more you have the story out on different things, the more chances.
Well, as a writer, yes, but as a reader, I do both too. So some readers are like, I'm only gonna read like physical books, or they read Kindle. So they like it's a whole.
I have a hard time with the Kindle thing.
Well,
I would rather read a book, or I can do audiobooks.
Right.
But I do this when I'm reading too, is I'll read the same paragraph 3 times.
Right.
Or I'll read it 3 times just to consume the information.
Right.
Or sometimes I read like the half of a paragraph and then I'm like, oh shit, I already read this.
Yeah. Well,
I can read 10 paragraphs and not remember any of it and then have to start over.
Well, and I think for audio books, I do that. Like I have to stop it because I need my brain to catch up for where it is. But I've been listening when it was back on cassette tapes to books, and then you would put them in the car. Like that's how old I am. But
yeah,
like, you would get those and you put them in the car, and you would listen to this book like on a trip. And so for me, that's, kind of, it's still reading a book. So, and that's how my kid learned Harry Potter. He listened to it because he hated to read.
Yeah.
But we would drive to school every day, and he read all the Harry Potter books from audio. So
yeah. Is it really called reading?
It is. I think it is. I mean, but some people, they're more visual versus other people that are more, it's a different way of learning. So it's the same, you're processing the same information. It's just a different way.
Yeah. I do all kinds of audiobooks.
Right.
At work, I can wear earbuds. So
You don't call it a book?
No, and I think I process it differently. The audiobook versus reading the book. I think it's slower for me to read.
Well, and that's so my kid, his visual reading is harder. So, but when he listens to it, it's easier to process.
I think
but it's still reading
my
a book
mind wanders
mind.
more when I'm reading. Like I can read whole pages
and
I'll be thinking of something else completely.
Yeah.
And I'm just going through the motions of reading and I'm not
like, I haven't
any of it.
Even,
So yeah, the more stuff you have out, like your
for an author,
stories
you want
on.
all of it out.
Yeah.
Like,
because then you can get a little, this guy that might never read a book still gets the story.
Right.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. Like, I would totally, if I've got that popular that we want to do an audiobook, I'd be like, yes.
Yeah. Now, because I don't know much about it, would you pick, for the vampire or for the werewolf story, would you pick a male or female to narrate it? Or
Probably
do you think both?
Female. I would really do both.
Now, is that a thing where they do both?
Yeah, they do that a lot. Particularly, with romances, they do a lot of both.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I would definitely do that for the werewolf because
there's like
you see from both sides. You haven't gotten to the point where you hear from the male protagonist. Like you haven't gotten that far, but
in the book.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
but there's a
I
point.
have in life.
Well, yeah.
But the roles are very dominant. There's a very dominant female roles and there's a very dominant male role.
Yes,
in the story.
And you've got like the extra characters like you hear at the beginning from the vampire, but we don't really see. I don't want to say it, but we don't see as much of him later. But there's like you see some other characters that would be good to have like a male and female doing the voice. And they do that a lot with romances. So, yeah.
Now, is there any romance in this?
Oh, yeah. There's a ton. Every book I have is romance.
Yeah.
I can't help it. That's just what I am. And I've stopped.
It does have, it you know what? Even if the storyline kind of gets kind of mundane or gets maybe boring for certain readers because they're not into that, the romance part might keep them into the story, right? Because you can heat that up a little bit.
I can't, I try to not do and I just can't. I
think every story
I remember when I was
romance.
Well, not everybody's like that though.
No, but even all movies and everything, there's always a romance part of it.
Something.
Even if it's in the back a little bit.
Yeah.
There's always I'm not saying you need a sex scene, but there's always a sex scene.
There is.
Even like a 70s sci-fi.
Yeah.
There's always a boob scene.
Yeah, there's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's more that I like a happy ending because life does not always give you a happy ending. I don't
Happy
mean it
ending?
like that. I don't mean, but not from a massage parlor, but the
happy ending. Did you ever see that email back years ago before the internet really got taken off? And we used to send emails to each other that had funny, before memes and stuff. Did you guys ever send emails?
Yeah, well, yeah.
There was one and you opened it and it was called Happy Ending.
I don't remember that.
And there was
I don't think we did that.
There was a guy laying on a massage table and the Asian lady whispers to him, "Happy ending?" And he goes, "Happy ending." And she hits a button and a bunch of balloons come down and clowns come
Yeah,
in,
like,
and it's
that's
just
a
like
good
it's
one.
a,
Yeah.
it's like yeah. And Buddy's like, that's not the happy ending I was thinking.
I was not thinking of
And
that
that's
one.
not what you were thinking as a
But
viewer either.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
your
you're
buddy
like-
just sent you the dirtiest thing you've ever seen. You wish
You're
you
like,
hadn't
thank
opened
God.
it.
Come
Yeah.
on.
It's like, should I open happy ending? And then you're like,
You're thinking it's erotica, and it ends
yeah,
up being
no,
like a
it's just,
romance drama.
yeah, no, and it's fucking Ronald McDonald and company. But
You're like, finally, something. But no.
yeah, well, hopefully we get a happy ending with the casino because I have some chips that I'm gonna go dump in there.
Like, not a happy ending. Yeah.
No, not. If I come back with more money than I started with, that's a happy ending. That's what I need. Is there anything else you want to throw out there about your books or your?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I really
Thank you.
am glad you came on.
Me too. I was a little nervous.
I'm
but
glad I didn't have to jump out the window during
I
the
am
fire
too,
alarm
because I was
escapade.
a little nervous about that too. So.
I have bad luck when it comes to things like that because the first, like my other podcast, the first one we ever did,
Yeah.
the hydro just went out like 15 minutes
yeah,
into
I
it.
saw that. That was
the
funny.
hydro, yeah, episode 1. The hydro just goes out and we're all sitting there and I was like, why is the laptop still on? Well, it's got a battery in it. And we get the hydro back on and everything was good, but yeah, I have a little bad luck streak.
No, is it bad luck or is it just like extra fun?
Yeah, it adds.
For the
I think it
podcast.
adds to it. It adds
Yeah,
character.
like we had
Yeah.
to leave. We had to evacuate.
Yeah, we evacuated.
Not
We-
that we had to, but we did.
We met a fire marshal guy with a fucking backwards ball hat on. And we
Like
met.
we could have gone to a party,
Yeah,
but
we
Todd was a little worried about going up on the floor.
I wasn't worried about going up. I was worried once we got there. I was like, why are we going up? This is I'm not
she
the
was like,
I'm
"Come
not the
on."
only one in the elevator that was wondering why we were going up.
Well, she was like, "Come on." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I was like, fine, I'll go. And then when they started going up, I was like, are we really going up?
Well, I
And they're like,
didn't
it
know
only
that.
affects the floors you are around it. And I'm like, yeah, but up, like, I don't even care if the up floors are affected or not. Because
Oh, I know.
everything above the fire eventually is
It's
going
gonna
to be affected.
Yes. But anyway.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Hopefully
Thank you
we
for
don't.
having me.
Yeah.
What?
Rachel Reynolds,
Yes.
author. Once her books comes out, I'll put links up
Thank you.
in this podcast, whatever. I'll help promote
Within
your stuff.
this month, yeah.
You've been a big fan of my podcast
Yes.
and helped me out greatly. So yeah, we'll
From
wrap
Delaware, you're famous.
it up. Yeah, Delaware,
So,
Delaware famous.
Yes.
Okay,
All
so let's go. Well, I'm gonna go win some money. I don't know what you're up to. If you want to come join me and win some money at the casino,
I might. We'll see how it goes.
and then yeah, we'll call it a day.
Thank you.
All right, cheers.
Bye.